The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called within hours of the first detection. Ambassador Zixathara of the Veltari hegemony stood before the circular chamber, her crystalline form pulsing with anxious bioluminescence as she addressed the assembled representatives of 47 star nations. "The quarantine perimeter has been breached," she announced, her voice resonating through the universal translators. "After 3 centuries of containment, the humans have emerged from Sol system." A collective shudder ran through the chamber, the Kree delegation's feathers ruffled in distress, while the gas-form ethereals began cycling through rapid color changes, a clear sign of panic among their species. Councillor Threx of the militant hegemony, a towering reptilian whose ancestors had once conquered 17 systems, leaned forward with visible concern. "How many ships?" "2, Zixthara replied. "But that's not what terrifies us." On the edge of known space, Lieutenant Mino Chen adjusted the sensors aboard the exploration vessel Pathfinder. Her dark eyes reflected the star field beyond the viewports as she ran diagnostics on their quantum drives, technology that shouldn't have existed for another 1,000 years, according to every projection the Galactic Council had made about human development. "James, you seeing this?" she called to her partner, who was hunched over the communication array. Commander James Rodriguez looked up from his console, his weathered face creased with concentration. "If you mean the 37 different alien signals trying to hail us simultaneously, then yeah, they seem agitated." Mino smirked. 300 years locked in our own system will do that to a species. We've had time to think." The quarantine had been established in 2157, when first contact had gone catastrophically wrong. The Galactic Council had approached Earth with standard protocols, a demonstration of superior technology, followed by integration into their cosmic civilization. They had expected the typical response: awe, submission, and gradual assimilation into their established order. Instead, humanity had declared war, not against any single species, but against the very concept of subjugation. Within 6 months, human ships were reverse engineering alien technology faster than their creators could develop it. Within 2 years, Earth's combined military forces had pushed the superior alien fleets back to the edge of the solar system. The Council had been forced to make an unprecedented decision: complete quarantine. They surrounded Sol system with a network of sensor arrays and automated defense platforms, declaring it a contamination zone. The official reason given to member species was that humans carried a dangerous pathogen. The real reason was known only to the Council's inner circle. Humans were terrifying. Now aboard the Council station, emergency protocols were being enacted for only the 3rd time in galactic history. How did they bypass the quarantine grid? Demanded General Krextar of the Dominion forces. They didn't bypass it. Zixthara's form dimmed to nearly transparent. They absorbed it. The holographic display showed the Sol system's perimeter, where once stood the Council's most advanced containment network, a ring of technology representing the combined efforts of 47 civilizations. Now sat a collection of modified human vessels, their hulls gleaming with retrofitted alien components. "They turned our own defenses into a construction yard," whispered the ethereal representative. Back in space, James was monitoring the increasingly frantic communications from the Council fleets that had been scrambling to respond to their emergence. "They're calling us the quarantine breakers," he reported with amusement. "Apparently there are betting pools on 17 worlds about whether we're going to consume the galaxy or just reorganize it." Mino laughed, a sound that would have chilled any Council member who heard it. Not because it was malicious, but because it was genuinely joyful. Humans, they had learned, found danger exhilarating rather than deterrent. "Open a channel to the Council station," she ordered. "Time to introduce ourselves properly." The transmission reached the emergency session within moments. The assembled representatives watched in stunned silence as 2 humans appeared on their screens, not as conquerors or monsters, but as explorers wearing expressions of curious enthusiasm. "Greetings, Galactic Council," Mino began, her voice calm and diplomatic. "We are representatives of the Human Federation. We come in peace, seeking dialogue and mutual understanding." The simple words sent waves of terror through the chamber. They remembered the last time humans had spoken of peace, right before systematically dismantling every assumption about technological development and military strategy the galaxy had held for millennia. "We know you've kept us quarantined for 3 centuries," James continued. "We understand your concerns. After all, we did declare war on the concept of forced hierarchy and technological dependence. But we've had time to mature, to learn, and to grow." Counselor Threx found his voice. What do you want?" Mino's smile was warm but somehow predatory. "To explore, to learn, to make friends." She paused, and her expression grew serious. "And to ensure that no species ever again faces the choice between submission and isolation." The chamber fell silent. In the background, reports were flooding in from across the galaxy. Human signals had been detected in 17 systems simultaneously. Somehow, while contained in Sol system, they had developed faster-than-light communication and transportation methods that surpassed anything in the Council's arsenal. The quarantine wasn't containing them, Zixathera realized aloud, her form now barely visible with fear. It was protecting us. James nodded sympathetically. 300 years is a long time to spend preparing for a conversation. We've run approximately 47 million simulations of first recontact. We're ready for any response you might have. "Even war?" challenged General Krextar. Mino's expression didn't change, but somehow the temperature in the chamber seemed to drop. "General, we've spent 3 centuries turning your quarantine network into our development laboratory. We've had 47 different alien technologies to study, improve, and adapt. We've built our entire civilization around the assumption that someday we might need to defend not just ourselves but our right to exist as equals." She leaned forward slightly. "So yes, we're ready for war. We're also ready for peace, trade, cultural exchange, joint exploration, scientific collaboration, or any of 1,000 other possibilities. The choice, as it was 3 centuries ago, remains yours." The council session continued for 18 hours. In the end, they voted unanimously for the one option their predecessors should have chosen 3 centuries earlier: to treat humanity as equals. The quarantine zone became the foundation for the galaxy's first truly democratic interstellar alliance. And Mino Chen and James Rodriguez became the first human ambassadors to a galaxy that had finally learned the most important lesson about their species. Humans weren't dangerous because they were monsters. They were dangerous because they refused to accept that anything was impossible